Hi, I'm Paul Ford.
And I'm Rich Ciotti.
And you are listening to Reqless, Reqless, the podcast about how artificial intelligence is changing the world of software, especially business software. Yeah.
Reqless.
Okay, so we are our own sponsor, but we don't have to do anything with that right now because we're going to talk about our product and sort of some of the things that have happened in the last week because they're interesting. So let's not do an ad, or let's make the whole thing an ad. Everybody get excited. Anyway, so I'm mostly recovered, but I was a little bit under the weather yesterday.
Tired is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I came into the office and you were like, why don't you just go home? Just
yeah, you're a little fried. It was a big, intense week. No one knows what we're talking about. Maybe you might know what we're talking about. We threw a big event.
I'm leading with the Hangover for comic.
Okay, you're doing good, Paul. Keep going. Barrel through.
This was a big week for us because, look, I mean, we've been kind of working around different levels of abstraction in our conversation for a while, but our product is going to market. And it's going to market in phases. It's not like we're going to be running TV ads in the next couple of months. But we did two big things last week. One is launch a new website to promote our product, aboard.com. Check it out. It's a pretty website. Looks good. And in launching the website, we changed kind of the story we're telling. And now the story that we tell on the podcast and the story we tell on the website and the story of the actual product when you use it are kind of coming into focus. And then the second thing we did, which actually wasn't AI related, but connects to the whole product, was we launched a whole new sub-product and added climate change data from our good friends at Probable Futures directly into the product for anyone to use. And so I don't launches are funny. I don't really believe in software launches because you're never done. It's not like we're like, okay, there it is. But this feels more like a good, healthy launch. We had a big party. We should also talk about that. It was well attended. Things are good. A good launch should feel like things coming together, not like, because when you have a launch,
it's not the finale.
Well, that's actually a path to mental illness, right? Like you do the launch and then you're like, I don't think people understand how depressing software launches can be.
You should talk about that for a minute because that's a fascinating thing. Just to context for the non-software, this is like, you've worked on something for months, designers, engineers, architects, QA, and then you pick a date, and then you start to line up a website that announces everything, and then you launch, and then you imagine that there will be festivals in the streets, and there aren't any.
No. There's none, and in fact, in the early days of the web, it'd be like people were still hungry for new stuff.
Yeah,
right. And they would be like, "Oh, a new website, and it's designed in a certain way." Or early days of Twitter and Facebook would be like, "Check this out." And everyone is tired of new things. They just want old, familiar things. Basically, unless you are throwing money into somebody's hands, it's very, very hard to get their attention. So the world doesn't care very much. That is the fundamental reality. And
there's also, just to add to that, there's just endless stuff.
Yeah.
You can go on Product Hunt every day, and there's 50 new things.
And so it's a really funny thing because when I mentor or when I advise younger people in the field, especially product managers, it's like, just want to let you know, post-launch depression is like a real thing. And they're like, no, not a problem for me. And then like you see them and they just can't believe it. It's so devastating that all the work you did. There was a poet named Don Marquis in the 40s, and he once described publishing a volume of verse as dropping a feather into the Grand Canyon and waiting for the echo. It may have been a rose petal, but it was that kind of idea. Just like you're just bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah, I think, I think we adopted the idea of launch or release, like this big moment. I'm going to guess the only sort of analogy I can think of is movies. Like when a movie is released, it's a big deal. Sometimes there's lines. To this day, by the way, it's actually a fascinating thing to see, even with the advent of streaming and TV and just people watching stuff on their phones. a movie can still make $1 billion because the launch and the release of it is still such a formidable thing. Music used to do that. Now albums are leaky. They just sort of leak out. I don't even know if people know what an album is anymore.
What is the worst user experience? Then you go into like Apple Music and there's a new album, but there's only
grayed out.
There's 2 songs and you see the rest of the titles and you're just like, I actually don't like, do you know how much you have to care about a musician for that to actually be impactful? Like,
well, it's also, it's sitting in someone's folder somewhere.
Yeah, it's like, really, we're gonna wait. We have to do this. We have to play this out. I just wanted to hear it.
Oh, and they unlock a song a week or every 2 weeks. It's just the most ridiculous thing.
So, look, I want to finish this thought on launches because I don't think people talk about it enough. There's also something else going on here, which is software is more like music now, in that it leaks out. Like you get those release notes in the app, and it's like, we've made it more secure, and we added a way to make your avatar wear a hat. And then what's sad is they hire the marketing firms and the PR firms who send out the big release, like revolutionary new avatar hat functionality.
Yeah.
Everybody's just fried because what happens is you just update everything all the time. Like the whole point of software is you don't have these big releases anymore. There's no like Windows 95 where the Rolling Stones are going to play at the event.
No, you don't. I mean, Apple, I think, is one of the few big names that still, it's like iOS 18. And
yeah, but man, that last event was a snooze.
It's snooze. And also they decoupled the hardware from the software. So I think in May at WWDC, they talk about the future release. And then in the fall, they launch a new phone.
That's right.
Which is millimeters bigger than the last one. And the camera is a little bit sharper than the last one. And that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, and I think those moments for the team that worked, and it's sometimes hundreds of people. And at Apple, it's thousands of people.
The Dynamic Island team on iPhone, right?
Like, do you think they paced the 20 seconds where Tim Cook talked about the camera?
Absolutely.
And be like, guys, we did it.
Absolutely. And then and the review, somebody puts the reviews together, and they're like, boy, oh boy.
All right, this is sounding like a bummer, Paul. I'm going to cut this short, man. You launched. Like, I'm going to say, just want to congratulate you. This was an incredibly productive, successful week. It's the culmination of a lot of energy and effort.
And I will say, no post-launch depression. I felt really good. Okay, so here's what we've done. If you go to aboard.com, you can see it, and if you go to the footer, you can click on it. There's an organization that we're really fond of. We used to work with them, and we reconnected with them and said they're called Probable Futures, and they provide a whole bunch of climate information, climate science, climate change models, and they make them available as maps and data, and you can do all kinds of stuff. And they have a great API. You can actually incorporate these maps right into your product. And so we did that. If you put an address, which we call a climate field, into a board, and you have to set it up special. This isn't available just with your bookmarks. You have to go to aboard.com/climate, and it's still kind of beta, alpha-y. Just, get in touch if you need help here. We're still small and we still want to talk to you. But you get a new field that you can add to any card. It's called a climate location. And when you put an address in, it pops up a probable futures map, and you can see different kinds of risk about heat and precipitation and drought. And then you can also get much more information at the Probable Futures website, and we can help you interpret this stuff. Like I said, get in touch. But what it means, and we've been building and testing a prototype product to help warehouses adapt before the worst effects of climate change hit them, because warehouses are they're down in the ground. They're prone to floods. The roads might flood even if the warehouse doesn't flood. Inventory, health, all kinds of stuff, right? Yep. And so we've been working with warehouses, wacky as that might sound, and showing them a board and showing them how to prepare their employees, prepare for hot days, prepare for floods, prepare for all this stuff. And so what we've done is, and this is, again, it's a marketing product. This is not an AI story. We took a very clean, well-defined API in really kind of short order. We embedded it into our product, took a couple of weeks of development, and frankly could have taken less, but we were thinking about design and lots of other stuff. Mm-hmm. And now every single card in a board can have climate knowledge built into it. That knowledge is live. It comes from their API. So whenever they update the model, our system gets smarter. Mm-hmm. And then we built a workflow to help the warehouse. and to protect people
They
and
can
protect
plan.
facilities. Yeah.
Yeah.
So putting this all together it took a couple months, and then we threw a really big party for Climate Week.
I mean, really big. It was like a couple hundred people showed up.
A couple hundred people showed up, and it was data, and there were a lot of other people sort of speaking and talking about the work they're doing in fields like insurance. I'll tell you what was exciting. I'm going to get to it, and this is the part of the launch I'm really, really proud of. The more I've learned about climate, the more I've learned about the world, I feel that software is increasingly disconnected from the physical world that we live in. Computers just kind of don't have to care about the fact that they're on the ground or that it's getting hot. They can just kind of keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And what we did is we brought the physical world into our product in the form of climate data.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that like there's more and more work to be done there, but like we kind of did something real as opposed to yet more software stuff. And we're seeing in the conversations we're having with the warehouses, they're ready for it. They want to see it. They want to use it. They want to help their employees. So that, to me, like the ability to get that together, throw the event, other panelists were there talking about the same kinds of things. I'm really proud of that because our product enabled that to happen. And now we're going to go do direct things that are going to just directly help human beings.
Yeah, I mean, I want to share a couple of thoughts here. I mean, you went fast. You assumed a bit of context here. You know, we built an AI software generation platform called a board. Essentially, you can spin up bespoke, fairly customized, integrative software quickly. We had an idea a month ago, maybe longer than that, but the actual work started weeks ago. And we executed on that idea and built something useful. And I think this is worth saying out loud. We're riding a wave in a lot of ways, but this would have taken 6 months. Like it would have taken a really, really, really long time. And it's kind of bananas.
I think it's real that it took more energy to plan and organize the party than to integrate the third-party code.
Which I think is fascinating, right? Like I think that part is fascinating too. It's so nice to field test this thing with a real goal. Because we could sit here and talk about, stare at the ceiling and talk about AI and software building and all that. But we built a thing and we showed it to a room full of people. And now it is available out in the world at aboard.com/climate. That's not us selling. That's us sort of showing that a lot of the world is shifting towards this incredibly accelerated way of working and building things. And what I think about as someone that has been in the room with a lot of leaders, the things that people worry about isn't the work ahead. It's that they're going to pick the wrong work and that they're going to realize months in that they wasted a lot of time and money. And it's a very strange thing to say, you know what, can you do me a favor? Make this one happen. See if it's right. And if it's not, that's okay.
This is what is changing, right? This is the fundamental thing that is getting weird. And this is not just us. It's that the entire world around technology is built on the idea of it being an incredibly high-risk endeavor to try anything.
Most don't bother. Nobody wants to get fired. Nobody wants to look bad. So most don't bother.
We talked about a company like Klarna getting rid of Salesforce, right? Because suddenly that's on the table. They'd rather just sort of do it themselves.
Yeah.
What does that actually represent? What that means is that their entire relationship to ship risk on software has changed. Because why do you buy Salesforce? Because it has already shipped.
Yep.
You have to live in their world, but you don't have to take the risk of building.
It takes years for them to build the trust and the brand equity so that, the running joke and nobody gets fired for hiring IBM. You could say that about Salesforce. You could say that about a lot of really, really big companies who've proven out in other places. People worry about their jobs and people also want to get promoted. And that drives so much of the thinking. And now the shift here culturally is that this could have not been good. We built 3 different pieces of software for this event, the climate event.
Yeah.
And one of them might not have been great. We would have presented 2.
Yeah,
we wouldn't have flinched about it. We would have been like, oh, that didn't work out it wasn't as cool as we thought it was going to be. And then you move on. That's huge. That is a big, big deal.
I mean, let me throw you back on your heels and challenge you for a sec, because here we have that we're saying, okay, the risk is so low, you can use these tools and you can build some stuff and it'll move really fast, and Amazon saves a lot of money and Klarna's getting rid of Salesforce. Yep. So now we're coming in, we're stumbling in, drunk, hungover, maybe we, wearing our loose-fitting blazers, and we're saying, No. But we'll help you out anyway, right? Like,
Yeah.
why is a company like ours, which is essentially a set of software components, and then you're going to orchestrate it with AI, and it's going to help you have a solution? Good for us. Good boys. Why wouldn't you just do it yourself? Why wouldn't you just tell the ChatGPT, make me this?
Because business people who think about using these things, don't want to zoom in to Figma. It's the best way I can put it. And they don't want to see your repo. They're not interested.
I can actually make it simpler now that you're saying it. They want de-risk. And when you say we're going to do it all ourselves, that's now all the risk goes back into the organization.
Yeah.
Without corresponding upside, right? For Klarna, there's a certain amount of upside to get rid of Salesforce for like certain things maybe it shouldn't be doing. But I don't know. I wouldn't get rid of Salesforce as my CRM right now. I think it's pretty good at it.
Yeah. Also, I mean, when the electrician opens up the box and shows me all the wires, I'm impressed. That's something I don't know and I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest with you. I start thinking about lunch about 5 minutes later. I'm like, I'm really glad you're here. Right?
You just unfortunately articulated. People would like the world to be rational. They would like it to be risk-oriented, and they would like it to operate like a spreadsheet. But that is the truth. They're like, you know what? That's really exciting there.
I'm just glad. You know what, Glenn? He's like, no, we got you running at 220 across these 4 breakers and only 120 in the and I'm like, thank God. You know, I'm really glad this came out that way.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue what they're talking about.
And here's the thing. Like, he's really proud of the service that he's providing to you in your home.
And I'm proud of him.
But he knows that all the other electricians in the world are second to him, and they kind of suck. He's the best one, right?
Fine.
And the truth is, and the brutal truth of the world, is that you, in your role, cannot really tell the difference between him and any other electrician.
I can't. And it only goes bad if
unless a spark is shooting out of a thing, you actually have no idea.
I have no idea, right?
Yeah.
And look, that knowledge gap is often exploited. It is exploited by a shady electrician. It is exploited by a shady mechanic. It should have been a $40 hose, but they told you it's the transmission. And I'm going to say this, and
I love that our marketing podcast is landing on listen. All practitioners are corrupt, but the buyers are idiots.
Here's, I think, what's mind-blowing, and I'm still workshopping the new message, dude.
That's not it? You don't think we should double down on what I just said? Okay.
No, the new message is this. You just empowered a whole population and demystified a whole other population. I don't know what to I think it's going to take us a minute to process that.
Well, I mean, you and I have been talking to powerful executives, and they're just like, hey, can I do this?
Yeah.
Can I do this?
Look, you committed 20 years of your career to building the incredible knowledge that you have, and all of a sudden this little computer is barreling through and spitting stuff out that took you years to craft. It's a wild thing to have all of a sudden to be confronted with. As an expert, as a professional practitioner of some sort, to see a computer throw up fairly credible code is a hell of a thing.
Well, you know what? I've been through this twice because I watched as people are like, look, it writes for you. And I'm a writer. People would send me like, hey, I had it write in your tone. Like, and they'd be like, write it in the style of Paul Ford. And it would. And I'd be like, okay. But nobody is going to hire ChatGPT to write one of my essays.
No.
But I was like, okay, here it is. Everybody's probably taking it a little too seriously. They're a little too upset about it. But I'm a good coder. Not the greatest, but definitely good. Like, I ship code and I built my career on it. And I was like, yeah, no, this is about as good as I can do. It was just flat out real, right? So, like, it found its thing. It found the thing where you're like, okay, it's about as good as I am, as long as you specify what needs to be in there.
Yeah.
And that word is starting to trickle out to the smarter executives who are now going like, hey, what about? And they want a different dashboard and all the stuff that they haven't been able to get. They're like, can I have it now? They're excited. Yeah.
We tend to think culturally and socially about the impact of tech. And I think culturally and socially, there's something, it's going to take a minute, but there's something dramatic happening. The cost of change is going down so dramatically, which means essentially that the potential risk is going down dramatically. Because if you got it wrong after 2 weeks, it's different than getting it wrong after 6 months. A consequence of that is that the expertise and the delicate handling of these things, because they all have been treated as such precious objects for so long that only experts should handle, is being shattered.
By these things, you mean sort of like large code bases,
design,
legacy system, design,
code, deployment, testing. All of these things that required so much rigor and so much expertise and so much energy, all of that is being questioned now.
Which also means that the sort of witches and wizards who guard the cauldron are also being questioned.
That's right. And my advice to those people, because you immediately get defensive, dude. I'm a freaking seasoned software architect. I am an expert. My hour is worth a lot of money. And you get defensive and you get guarded about it. There is good news in this, which is you are still very much needed. You're just going to need to stand on top of these machines and really understand how to get things across the line, because they're really only good at the easy parts. They're not great at like really rounding it out. And that's actually hard and requires higher order thinking. I'm not going to predict the future of AI and where it gets there, but we still badly need that expertise for the last bit. And that's real. Rather than worrying about what got commoditized, go and run to the higher ground. That is my advice to the practitioners. To the business people, have at it, man. You're not allowed to say, we can't afford that. It just got real cheap.
Yeah, we're about to have a new idea playtime party in code if we let ourselves.
Yeah, mess around. A lot of great filmmakers let the actors kind of go off script and play a bit. And some of the best moments in all of cinema is because people played a little bit. And this has been such an industry that is so worried about breaking things. You can break them now. Break some things. You could throw it in the trash and try again.
Speaking of this, let me close on a question. Are you going to go see Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis in a theater? Great filmmaker of The Godfather, Apocalypse Now. But apparently he has created an either compulsively watchable or completely bananas disaster.
I got to tell you, I think I'd go see it. Only because I revere him, and I think I got to go see it. But I think this might be a disaster.
I think I want to see it in 40X, which is when the seats move around.
Start shaking.
Get the popcorn flying everywhere.
I ever tell you I once took a hot Starbucks with me to a 40X movie? And just started
how'd that go?
Me around.
How'd that
Not
go?
Well.
Oh,
Not
no.
Well.
If you don't know about 40X, I don't want to ruin the fun for you. You look it up. And
just go look up a video, yeah.
If you like the feeling of seasickness while you watch an absolute piece of garbage,
the movie almost is required to be garbage.
It's got to be that. Yeah. It sprays mist. I remember once we did a company outing to a 40X movie. Somebody gets shot in the head, and at that moment, it sprayed mist on all our faces.
I think that was the blood splatter.
It's just even for me, I have a pretty high tolerance for tastelessness. I was like, that is not good.
I have an idea for 40X. I'm going to end it with a joke, Paul. Sophie's Choice 40X. It pushes out a light sort of chamomile infused perfume at you throughout the film. What do you think?
It's one of the grimmest things. All right, my friends. Be in touch. So we had a good climate event. Thank you for everybody who came out. We had some podcast listeners there, and that ruled. Happy Climate Week, everybody. It's over now. We can get back to destroying the environment.
Check out the new website. We've got a lot of new information about this amazing rapid development platform that uses AI to ship software. It's at aboard.com. And reach out to us at hello@aboard.com. We can build stuff real fast for you, but we also love to talk. If you have questions, topic ideas, hit us up.
Yeah, custom geographic systems, now a specialty.
Paul, get some rest, man. You did good.
Yeah, it's time. I need a little break. All right, hello@aboard.com, and we are grateful. Thank you.
Have a lovely week.
Reqless.